Hey Chevra, welcome back to Opining in Olam Haba. Hope everyone had a wonderful break. So I'm dropping the video now just with everything going on with Yom HaShoah. I just thought it appropriate, maybe perhaps after Yom HaShoah, to discuss about the eternity of souls and dedicate the this learning, this limud, to the eternity of the Jewish people, to the eternity of the Kedoshim who perished in the Holocaust. So we're continuing in chapter 10 of the introduction of the Rambam to the Mishnayot in Sanhedrin, Perek Chelek, as we've discussed, the Mishnah that discusses, Olam Haba and who gets a share in Olam Haba. If you're joining us for the first time, we're now in the middle of stanza 15, and I'm going to move right along to really the juicy material, and I'll just paraphrase. If you want to look for a landmark, find in the middle of this paragraph, of this stanza, you'll see it says Brachot Lamed Daled, and that's Brachot 34b, Lamed Daled Amud Bet. And basically what it says is like how right after this Gemara, he quotes, it says, Amna ma Yehudim atovim. He says, look, in the Torah, when it talks about reward and punishment, he's like, I have to say that's talking about in this world. But it doesn't mean like, oh, if you do this, you'll get money. Or if you do this, it doesn't work like that. He says, you know what it's talking about? What it's basically saying is that, the schar for a mitzvah, the reward for a mitzvah, is the opportunity to do another mitzvah or to perform more mitzvot. So therefore, when it says, oh, if you do this, then you'll get this, and you'll get food, and you'll have peace, because those things enable you to really perform more mitzvot, right? If you're worried constantly about, when the next meal you're going to get to have food on the table, if you're worried about, someone breaking into your home because you're living in a war-torn area, then, how are you going to be able to accomplish seeking out spiritual things when all you're worried about is every day is just, what's going to be tomorrow? That's not a life that's, that you can live and focus on perfection, on Torah, on mitzvot. So he says that the more you do what the Torah is telling us, when it gives us these sort of reward and punishments in the Torah itself, right? Think specifically in Kitavo and Bechukotai, the rebuke, right? Things that we see of like, oh, if you do this, then what it's basically saying is, I'll help you. Schar mitzvah mitzvah. Right? I'll help you do more mitzvah. Do this. Oh, it shows where your head is at, what your perspective is, what your focus is. Good. You want to focus on fulfillment, on bringing meaning into your life, on finding God. Good. I'm going to help you. You'll live in a tranquil time, and you'll be able to have the creature comforts to enable you to focus on the things that are important. But if you abandon my mitzvot, it doesn't really matter to you. Well, then, and God's like, all right, then fine, it doesn't really matter to you. So this is going to happen, or this is going to happen, and you'll live your life, and because really perfection doesn't matter to you that much, anyways. And now we get to the juicy stuff, right? Now he's going to talk. Okay, what about things like the real next world type stuff, Gan Eden, Gehinnom? Here we go. So it's the you go a few lines down from that the Gemara in Brachot that I told you, not a few. It's about 10 or 12 lines down from there, and the word that you'll find is right after where it says schar mitzvah mitzvah uschar avera avera. That the reward for a mitzvah is the opportunity to do another mitzvah. The reward for an avera is doing another avera, right? Or that's not a reward, whatever. That's what God meets out to you. And then he continues, Ve'ulam, Gan Eden, hu makom deshen, or dashen, v'shamein, mivchar ha'aretz. And he says, the Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, is a fertile, incredible land, mivchar ha'aretz, the choicest of all places. Yesh bo naharim rabim v'ilanot osim perot. And there are many rivers, right? And there are many trees that are fruit-bearing trees. Literally, I mean, he's basically just giving us the biblical description of the Garden of Eden. Yigaleh oto Hashem Yisborach libnei adam la'atid lavo. And Hashem will reveal it to people in the future. V'oreh oto haderech lahalech elav. And Hashem will show us the way, like how to go there, like how to find it. There's a Gemara in Maseches Tamid that talks about Alexander the Great's pursuit. He's on this adventure to try to find the path to Gan Eden. Well, God will show it to us eventually. V'tangubo, and we'll delight in it. We'll take pleasure in it. Ve'efshar sheyimtzu bo tzmachim mufla'im ad me'od, and it's possible we might find flowers and plant life that are amazing, we've never seen before. Mo'ilin to'ela gedola arivim, that have great benefit to the world, perhaps medicinal benefit. And they're pleasant and they're sweet. Harbe milvada ela hayaduim ameforsim etzlenu. More so, or aside from the ones that we know about already. Right, this was 1,000 years ago. V'chol zeh eino min hanimna, and this is not impossible. V'lo rachok, and it's not. Again, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Aval hu karov lihiyot, va'afilu lo haya katuv b'Torah. Kol sheken shenizbar zeh b'Torah v'nit parseim. Even though it's not, exactly written in the Torah this way, it's been publicized through the Torah. So he's saying Gan Eden is an actual physical place. I mean, the Gemara in Talmud says somewhere like in Africa, and like deep Africa or something. It's a physical place that we're going to get to, that will be zoche, to eventually meet, visit, inhabit, la'atid lavo, whatever that means, right? In the future. I don't know. Amnam Gehinnom, and what's Gehinnom? Hu shem letzar la'onesh sheyasig l'rishaim, and that is the name Gehinnom. Gehenna is the name of the anguish and the punishment that the wicked will receive, will comprehend. He says, v'lo beperish b'Talmud. The Gemara doesn't give us a description of this punishment. There are those that say that the sun will come really close to them and it'll burn them or eat them. Boer katanur uksatam omrim kiu chamimut zara. Right, there's a pasuk in Malachi. And it talks about, I think we saw it in the Haftorah right before, in Shabbos HaGadol, I believe, right before Pesach, right, that there'll be a day where it burns like an oven. And some say it's like it'll be some terribly, heavy warmth. Hello, global warming? I don't know. That will innovate, or be a novel kind of thing. Sounds a little scary. Also, that will be in people's bodies, utisarfein, and it'll cause them to be very, very hot. Urayatam al zeh mashenemar ruchachem eish ta'achalchem, and there's a pasuk that says your spirits will be filled with fire, and it could be a terrible fever or something like that. Utchiyat ameitim. So that's Gan Eden, the real garden. Gehinnom, he says, is a real, sort of this, something actually that would happen in the physical world. Just like Gan Eden, he puts it a physical description. So too, the Gehinnom concept, also something physical. Utchiyat ameitim yesod miyesod Moshe Rabbeinu, and Tchiyat ameitim, the resurrection of the dead, comes from, it's like a tradition from Moshe. Meaning, it's a Gan Eden we find in the Torah. Gehinnom we find like in the, maybe the Talmud talks about, but no one gives a description. Here, this is Halacha Moshe V'Sein. This is a tradition from Moshe. Ve'ein dat v'lo dveikut b'dat Yehudi l'mi shelo ya'amin zeh aval hu l'tzadikim. He says you can't be a religious Jew if you don't believe in the resurrection in Tchias HaMeisim, but it's for the righteous. V'cheinu lashem breishis rabba gvurat geshamim latzadikim u'l'rishaim tchiyat hametim. He says that it's about the resurrection is for the righteous. Latzadikim bilvad. Ve'ich yichyu harishaim vehem meitim afilu b'chayim. Right, it's not for the wicked. That's not going to happen for them, because even in their lives they're considered dead. We'll talk more about this as we're really heating up Pardon the pun. We'll talk more about this next week, God willing. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. Take care.